Hello, 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 and welcome to the Joy of Connection. And I'm so happy to have you here. This is the third episode. I was going to say season. Well, it is the third season, but also the third episode of International Women. We're going to be celebrating International Women for this particular season. I'm really excited because I've got lots of really interesting women from around the world. And this week I've got someone really, really fabulous from France, or France, as they may say. She might correct me later. I don't know. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm really in a good space. I'm really excited because my baby's back. Yes, my honey's back. So I'm really excited. I'm feeling really good. And I'm really looking forward to the show as well. So everything's really good. And I just wanted to say that, as usual, we love great feedback. So do let us know what you're thinking about the shows. If there's anything that you're interested in hearing more about, would like to know more about, do let us know. And, we'll make sure that it happens. So last but not least, I have to just mention, due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to record tonight's show. However, it's not only a brilliant show, but a brilliant woman who I did not want to let down. Her name is Liv RJ, and I'm going to bring her straight to the stage. I'm going to bring Liv on so you can see what I'm talking about. Hey, Liv.
Hey, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So welcome. So, my first question to everyone is always, where are you from and where do you live? And that can be, where you've lived over the last few years, or it can just be, this is where I am, and however you want to answer that question. So where are you from and where do you live?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? So I'm originally from Madagascar, the little island off of Southeast Africa, and I currently live in France in the Loire Valley, wonderful place. But I've actually lived in a total of 13 countries, lived and worked across Europe, America, of course, and Asia as well. So that's where I am.
Oh, so you truly are an international woman, I would say.
Yes, yeah, I think we can say that safely.
And so the podcast is called The Joy of Connection. And one of the things I always ask people is, how did we connect? Do you remember how we connected?
Of course I do. Yes.
Would you like to tell the audience?
Yes, I can tell the audience. Is that okay with you? We met on something called Beyond TV Bootcamp, where it's basically sort of group coaching to get on TV and get known, get PR, etc. And we just connected. We all did presentations of ourselves, introduce ourselves, and then people react. And Michelle reached out to me and she said, I want you to be on my podcast. I said, sure, of course.
Yeah, and I had to have you on my podcast because you've got such a fascinating story that I can't wait to tell the audience. But before we go there, the joy of connection is about self-love and self-care, all the different ways we can reach that, right? Whether it's through just, your generic having a nice bath with a nice warm tea and essential oils in the bath, or whether it's spending time with nature, or whether it's, doing something beautiful for yourself, just reading, meditating. What do you do for your self-love and self-care? Is there anything in particular that you do that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. So first of all, for my self-love, I need to be alone.
Ooh.
Self-love time is alone time. No more distractions, no more noise, just focusing on feeling good. So that means, focusing on the body. I do a little bit of breath work. I have this thing that I do that I call basically cardiac, or well, that's the French word, but heart coherence.
Coherence.
Yeah, heart coherence, and I can show you how I do it.
Yeah,
It's very short, very nice, and I'm gonna show you that, and then after that, it's I read, I do whatever comes to mind, what pleases me at that very specific time. But that said, I'm extremely blessed and privileged because I live in the countryside. It's a beautiful countryside. So whenever I need, I just pop down in the garden and I have the trees and I have all of nature and the birds and everything. So for that's okay.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about the heart coherence exercise. So basically, I put my hands on my heart and I close my eyes and I start to breathe very slowly and imagining that I am actually breathing through my heart, not through my lungs, but I'm imagining that the breath is going through the heart. And I'm breathing really slowly. I can do it through the mouth or through the nose, just for a couple of minutes. And as I do that, I just summon a positive memory, something that makes me smile, that's something that makes me happy. And I keep on breathing really slowly. And that's it.
Wow.
And that's enough to bring your vibration so much higher. That's enough to calm you down. If you are by any chance insomniac, do that exercise in bed. I bet you're gonna fall asleep like this.
Really? Okay. I'm going to call you up tomorrow.
I'm counting on it.
Because I've been having some crazy sleep patterns lately. So my goodness, thank you for sharing that. That's really lovely. It actually felt very, very calming. And I wasn't sort of thinking, oh, can I feel my heart? Is it beating or anything? It just felt, and do you apply pressure or do you just rest your hands gently? Because you would be
rest my hands. Just sit, you sit or you lie down, whatever feels comfortable on the very moment. There's nothing to be planned or whatever. Just be as spontaneous as you can and just put your hands. And it just helps me because I know the heart is there and visualizing the breath through the heart.
Yeah, I like that. The breath through the heart.
That really helps. Write it down.
Thank you for that. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So thank you so much for telling me about that. I mean, that is such a beautiful visual of, like you said, think of something beautiful that's happened or a really nice memory, and that's really sweet. And I love that. But I know that you've had quite a bit of what I would call trauma in my life. I don't know if that's what you describe it as, but there have been some scenarios here. I was just making some notes and looking at it, and I was just like, wow, losing your father when you were under 2, your mother being badly maimed, being sexually assaulted when you were quite young. I'm not quite sure of your age, but you're quite young, under 8, 10.
Yeah.
Becoming the youngest journalist at the World Economic Forum, the WEF. I mean, that's an accomplishment. That's fabulous, but then from there going to 9/11, being at the World Trade Center. I mean, I was there that day, by the way. I lived in New York at the time. I wasn't physically in the World Trade Center, but I worked for a company that was there. I happened to be in Midtown that day.
saved.
So, I would say, yeah, I would say, but I had so many people, I mean, we don't even want to relive that. But you talk about how your lungs have been badly damaged by the dust.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that event? I mean, it must have been so horrific.
Well, basically, I was supposed to be at work at 6 a.m. and I switched shifts with somebody else because it was the earnings season. So we need to cover the end of the European shift, and then starting to cover the earnings of the American companies. And so I swapped my shift, and I know I was supposed to be the editor, but I had just been coming back from Europe, and I was jet lagged, like really badly jet lagged, and that saved me because at the time of the first impact, instead of being in the tower itself, so my office used to be in World Trade Center 1, and to be honest, I don't remember the floor anymore. I don't know if it's 59, 61, 60, I don't know. I just don't know.
It's a really huge tower, yeah.
And instead of being in the tower, I was actually in the subway on the train. And at the time of the first impact, the train had stopped at Brooklyn Bridge, which is the stop just before the World Trade Center, just before Fulton Street. And we were told that there had been, quote unquote, a plane incident at the World Trade Center. So I was just, typical New Yorker. Oh, fuck it. Those billionaires, they don't know how to fly their planes. And who's late for work? Me, blah, 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 blah. The usual thing and whatever. So then when they let us off, basically, they didn't let us off at Fulton Street. I think the one after is
Wall Street?
Which one?
No. Is it Wall Street right after that? No.
Yeah, I think it is. Oh, Broad Street. I think it was either Wall Street or Broad Street, one of the two. Yeah. And
okay.
I came out, and instead of running away, I ran towards the tower because my friends were there, etc. And it was really just eerie because coming out of the subway, and Wall Street, right? All the noises and the action, and it was just silent to a point that coming out of the subway, I heard sheets of paper fall down on the floor, and I look up, and that's when I saw a guy jump.
Oh.
Somebody from the higher levels above the whole, basically. What was the name of the company again that was there? I have it on the tip of my tongue, but never mind. So that was the first thing. And I was like, this is not a plane incident. Something's off. Like, why would? And then I saw a whole bunch of people do the same thing. And I was like, no. And instead of leaving and going away, I went towards it. And then what happened is at some point there was a really loud noise. And then it became dark. Well, yeah, because the second plane was hitting right above me. And I promise, I really thought that was it. I was like, this is it. This is it. Glad you came back from your vacation. This is it. You're dying now. This is the time. This is the day. Here we are. And I was by the towers. I don't know if you remember, there used to be this like globe in the on the planet, right? So I had just passed the globe. And this noise. And then the crash, and then all those things falling on the floor around me. Honestly, I should not be here, but I had this strange feeling that I was protected, that I had this blue bubble around me. And horrible things fell from above. And I'm not going to say, whatever. It was really horrible. Let's just say things fell from the plane. Pieces of stuff fell from and next to me. And what I did, I was like pinching myself, like, wake up. New Yorker, I have to drive home. I'm sorry, to the audience. I was like, wake the fuck up. This is a bite nightmare. I just pitched. I was like, ouch, that hurts. I'm not sleeping. What the hell? So then I just left and I ran away and I went to William Street where we had a second office and where I could get a landline and everything. Well, actually, not totally true. Before that, I went back to Broad Street because I knew there was a phone booth because the phones weren't working, the cell phones.
That's right.
And I placed a collect call to my parents who were in France. And my dad was super giddy. Hey, but it's super early. You're going to work. What's going on? And I could hear my mom. My mom is extremely intuitive. And I got that from her. She was like, something's off. I can tell something's off. What is going on? Put her on speakerphone. So something else. I'm like, no, it is an incident. So I don't know what's happening. Just let you know I'm fine and whatever. And my mom's like, I'm turning on the TV. And she was like, oh my God, run away. Go. I'm like, okay, bye. I'm fine. Bye. Just like that was my one reflex, and then I moved on. Yeah.
I mean, I know how I felt, and I wasn't in the thick of it. You know, I was probably half a mile away, but we were still getting the dust uptown, and we were getting everything else and the news, and and I just have to ask you. I mean, how did you get through that afterwards? I mean, did you have to have therapy? Did you?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. So, the first thing that I did, well, the first tower started to fall, so we had to evacuate even the building where I was in on William Street, and we started walking uptown, and I couldn't even see the people around me because it was so thick, so thick. There was a lady next to me who was really, really overweight. I could not see her through. It was impossible, and I remember I don't know why I had this reaction, but when we had the evacuation siren going off, people started running, and I said, "Stop! Don't run!" This was on the 17th floor on 100 William Street, the Financial Times, because we were part of the Financial Times at the time. And I said, "People, don't run! Come to me to the kitchen. I'm gonna give you a paper towel with water. You're gonna have to breathe through that." I swear, Michelle, I don't know where I got that from. I wasn't trained in CPR or nothing. So people lined up to get that from me, and I would give it to people. And the office manager was with me, and she waited with me. And when everybody was gone, I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "No, we need to go around the offices, make sure there's nobody left, and then we can go." And we did it, and then we left. So, and I felt really good because she was with me. I was like, I'm not alone. She's very strong, and et cetera, et cetera. I have when I got back home. Basically, I think 2 days later, the phone was back. So my parents I managed to call my parents. I went out to buy my first laptop at the time. It was not that common to have a laptop. I went off immediately. Best Buy was it, I think, and I bought a laptop and dialed in with my phone, etc., and got through to my parents via Skype. So that was the only way to do it. And I talked to them, and they said, my dad was like, "I have a friend. He's also a journalist. I think he's in DC. I'm going to give him your number, whatever. I'm like, I don't know. And this guy managed to call me in the evening, and he still is a journalist, and he's a war journalist. And he said, "Liv, this is one thing. You're going to have PTSD. There's no way to avoid it. So the first thing you do tomorrow is you debrief. Go to the first hospital you find, because they're setting up, structures. Go to the first hospital you find, and go find a psychiatrist and debrief, because this thing is going to hit you at some point in your life. You won't understand what happens. It's going to destroy your life. Don't let it happen. Do it." I didn't know the guy. I know he's one of my besties. Like, I have news from my dad's friend more than he does, but he's been really helpful. So I did debrief. I started therapy at that time. Then I moved back to Europe. I could not stay in New York. It was not possible. We were shipped to London to work to finish the earnings season. And then in March, I decided to resign, and I moved back to Europe. I went to Paris. I just stayed in a room at a friend's house. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need time for myself. I needed time for self-love at the time. So I took time off, took care of myself, went on vacation with friends, relearned to rebuild connections, because somehow all of that emotional thing had gone. Plus, also my lungs had suffered a lot with all the sediments.
Yes,
So I had lost, like, the first few months were really hard because I had lost over 80% of my breathing capacity. So I had to choose between talking and breathing. So the treatment started and everything. So I had, heavy treatments for 5 years. Every little cold became a pneumonia. What it is.
Goodness.
But yeah, therapy, lots of therapy. And then I thought I was fine. And then I had 2 strokes. We started wondering what it came from, because I was still young at the time, much younger than today. And we tried to figure it out. We didn't know. Then a Belgian TV channel contacted me for a documentary, and I spoke to them. Then they, on the eve of the 10th commemoration, 10th year, and they asked me if I would come to do a live from the World Trade Center in New York. And I said, sure, I'll be there. And that the day of, I just got nauseous. I got panicky because I had no idea how to get to Tower 10, which I used to go through the World Trade Center, inside, but I was like, I don't know how to get there anymore. It was a panic. And after that, we went to the South Street Seaport downstairs, and there were a lot of families of victims. And we were just sitting there, and somebody said that I was a survivor, and all those families started lining up to hug me because they had lost their children, their child, their son, their daughter, and hugging me was kind of a closure. And I was super happy to hug them. So I was just hugging people. And this Belgian journalist, who was also a war journalist, came to me and he said, "We need to take a break. You need to have lunch. Are you okay?" I'm fine. We go. And he told people she needs to have lunch. And then he looked me in the eye and said, "You need to go see a doctor here ASAP. You have PTSD because you really zoned out. You're giving hugs, but you're not there. Take care of it." So I went, got tested and everything. And yes, I was at the highest level. At that time, the first study started to come saying that the strokes were something that happened to women my age. And I got treated. I got into the federal program, and I got treated at the Weill Cornell Hospital with reality, which was very, innovative at the time, which means not only the images, but the sounds. The images, but the sounds were just horrible. I could not breathe anymore. So I did what we call exposure therapies, that you relive through the events all the time, so that your brain understands it's no longer here, it's in the past. It's a desensitization process. And wow. It saved my life. It was wonderful. It was painful.
How long was that program for?
Sorry?
How long was that program or treatment for?
Oh, it lasted for 8 months or something. And then after that, I just stayed in New York.
And how did you feel, from the beginning to the end? Like, were you like a totally different person, or do you just feel normal?
The thing is, it's very well done, and they make you fill a whole bunch of files, a whole bunch of forms before every session.
Okay.
Or weekly, plus monthly, we had a supervision by another psychiatrist. So basically, I would fill out those forms, and I would just like tick all the boxes and everything. And as time went by, I noticed that my answers were like completely different. I was in a completely different space. And that's how you make progress.
Okay.
Very tangible. It's really tangible. It's there. So it was wonderful.
Well, I mean, I think that would have pushed most people over the edge. But then we go on, and then you find out that you have cancer. Well, with cancer, then 2 strokes. So you talked about the 2 strokes. So was the cancer before the strokes?
It was.
It was. Okay. All right. And then, I mean, I just have to say, it's so much. It's so overwhelming. Even to me, it's really hard to compute. And some people might not even believe that it's really true. I mean, that couldn't really happen to one person. Couldn't experience all of that in a space of 20 years, maybe? Would you say?
I tell you, my doctor here in France, because I've been here for 2 years, she does not believe me. I have all the files and everything. She still does not believe me. She's like, "Oh, you didn't have a stroke." I'm like, "Here are the files, 2 strokes. Talk to my cardiologist. Talk to whatever." And she's like, "Well, you didn't have cancer." Okay, talk to the guy at the American hospital. Talk to the specialist at the, what's the name? The Institut Curie, which is the top, cancer whatever in Europe, and maybe in the world. So she still doesn't believe me.
Wow.
And it has very direct implications for vaccination right now, for example. Like,
in what way?
Because I would have priority to get the vaccine because I have all this comorbidity of all this, different ailments. But because she doesn't believe me, I don't think I'll be vaccinated until September.
Wow. And just switching slightly, how is that program growing? Because here in the UK, they've been really on top of it. But we hear that in Europe they're behind.
They've been super slow. I think there was a lot of disbelief at the beginning, and the rollout has been super slow, super disorganized. But now they're starting to get organized, and they're starting to be very logical about it. A lot of people are refusing one of the vaccines. I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that. Yeah.
One of the guys, one of the officials said, well, listen, you get, more risks of thrombosis by getting on a plane, and yet you're still getting on a plane. So get vaccinated. Like, that's all we know we can do now.
Yeah. So moving forward. Wow. So, what was the turning point for you? When was it that you decided, what, my old life, or the life I'm living, needs to become my old life, and I need to make a change? Did something prolific happen? Was it just an awakening one morning, or was it a conversation?
No, it's been gradual. And, throughout all my life, since I started therapy on 9/11, 2001, I have been exploring a lot of different, I call them, ancient wisdoms. So sweat lodges, family constellations, all sorts of things, just for myself, because I'm extremely curious. I'm a very, very curious human being, and I love to learn, and I love to learn about other people, other cultures, other ways of doing, other ways of thinking. Like, that's what keeps me alive, to see how we all connect, basically, even though we're different. And so I did all of that, and I had already my coaching business 13 years ago, but I quit it because I was way too young at the time, and I looked way too young. People would not take me seriously, so that was like,
really? You still look young though.
Thank you, darling. Just added 1 year, as you know, recently, so I kept on doing all those like personal development things on the side, a lot of creativity, etc., etc. And it's just that I started meditating a lot. And at some point in New York, one day I woke up, I was in the subway, and it's like I woke up all of a sudden. I saw the people on the platform, and I was like, those people look gray. They look green. They look sad. They look angry. And yet it's 7 a.m. My God, we're we're underground. Like, this is what we call the rat race. I'm not a rat. I'm out. So I came out, and I never took the subway afterwards. Bus or walk. I was like, I'm not a rat. I'm not playing that game. And then one of my meditations kept on telling me Miami, Miami, and Miami, and I'm not a fan. I was not. And I was like, if that's what it is, I'm gonna go. And it was the first time that I actually moved places just because meditation. But I was like, I'm not gonna deny that to myself. If that's my intuition, I'm just gonna go there. Okay. And I stayed there for 2 years, during which I experimented a lot for work, for personal development again, and having the ocean nearby and everything was just super helpful. And then I came back to Europe, and went for a job that really did not suit me. It was just not a good idea, not a good fit in any way, shape, or form. Got myself out of it. That was in Berlin, and from there on, I was like, this is it. I need to go back to my coaching, but my coaching will now, instead of being, because I've been certified as an executive and leadership coach, and I find it very executive and leadership coach. That's what I'm certified as. But I find it very dry for me. A lot of people are fine with it, but for me, it's dry. And for me, life goes with work. Work is part of life, and life encompasses work. So I cannot have a life coach here and a business coach here. It has to be holistic. Otherwise, it's like you're limping because one of your members is not being taken care of, basically. Yeah. So I did that, and I integrated all the knowledge that I got from the different ancient wisdom from the Far East, from the East, from Latin America, from Africa. And of course, my roots are very interesting because I did my DNA test, and I have African blood, Asian blood, all of Asia, which is very surprising, and also Pacific Islands.
Oh,
So integrated that in my
what a
work.
beautiful combo. What a beautiful combo.
Thank you. So that's what I do. So I work with women because I am walking the talk. I'm not going to teach people things that I don't know. I'm not going to guide them in the darkness if I don't know where I'm going either. So at least I know where I've gone, where I've been, and I know I can help them through it. So that's where I sit my credibility. That's where I sit my practice.
Fantastic. And tell me a bit, or tell us a bit about your retreat that you're doing at your beautiful 16th century farm. I mean, take us back a little bit. Like, how did you even find this location? Did it fall in your lap? Did you?
Yes, it
How did
did.
you find it?
I was not planning to buy here or to settle here at all. I
Yeah.
was in Lisbon at the time,
Okay.
and Lisbon, Portugal, and I wanted to look at land over there, but I wasn't sure about the price that was being offered. If it was, legitimate, or if it was like a touristy price, whatever. I was just checking countryside for countryside because by that time, this was 2018. I really needed nature. I needed to be in
Mm.
nature. I needed the greenery and everything. So I compared with the only, European countryside that I kind of knew because my parents live an hour away from here, and I used to visit them every 3 years and spend 2 weeks every 3 years here in the summer. That's all I knew. So I looked up on the internet and I found this property. And the minute I saw it, it was just obvious. It was like, this is the place. You can have retreats, you can host retreats, and you can do your coaching. And then the extension of it is to invite the women to come and unplug from, the busyness and let go of the noise and all the stress and the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Bring them to slowing down, like help them
Absolutely.
slow down. Like, the heart exercise, it's about
Mm.
slowing down. It's super powerful.
Yeah.
So I saw that place, had all those ideas of workshops and all the things that we could do. Working with your hands is something very powerful and very empowering as well. So I made an offer. I flew over, visited, made an offer. I was like, well, I'll just do a low ball the offer a lot, by a lot, because but
Yeah.
also this is a UNESCO World Heritage Zone. It's a 16th century farm, which turned out to be a former hamlet.
And for those that may not know what a hamlet is, just for clarity, can you explain what that is?
Hamlet is from the Middle Ages. You have it in Shakespeare as well.
Yeah.
It's a small village. It's smaller than a village. It used to host this one. It used to host up to 40 families. So there's a lot of buildings, and they
Yeah.
all date back from different periods. And the oldest one, if I figure it out, is at least from the 15th, if not earlier. So yeah, it's starting to get scary now. So I was like, I need to restore those places and get the people to come here. And there's chateaus around. This is the Royal Loire Valley. There's chateaus every 10 minutes. There's a river nearby. There's the forest. You can go horseback riding. So there's the culture. It's also one country, so it's just perfect. Yeah, what can I say? And I was like, I made the offer. I didn't think they would accept it because I almost halved the asking price. And they called me back. They're like, yeah, you got it. I was like, what? What?
Wow.
I was terrified, petrified, excited. I was like, I don't know how to manage all those emotions at once.
So this lined everything up for you and just made it happen.
It just happened. And so I've been working on that for 2 years now, restoring little by little, etc. Hopefully I can start hosting the first retreats. I'm really hoping this fall, this autumn.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with very intimate in terms of size. So it's going to be
Yes.
6 people maximum to get started. I'm actually now restoring a building. Yes, on that handle on Instagram, La Ferme d'Arcé, that's how you pronounce it. You can see all the work that I'm doing there. And you'll see that I'm actually working on a specific house, the oldest one. And I've started a GoFundMe to ask for help to rebuild it because it's a lot of work. It's basically bare bones and have to redo everything. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And the minute that one is done, I can host the first retreats and people can work the soil with their hands. And I've been a big city girl my whole life, and the past 2 years I've been eating the food that I have planted myself.
Oh, nice. That's such a beautiful feeling.
It's amazing. And I want everybody to have that feeling. I want everybody to come here and just harvest and then prepare it and then eat it and enjoy it and just feel the wholeness and the abundance of life. That's it. Really. That's it.
So amazing. I love it. I love it. And what we'll do is we'll put the GoFundMe link in our Facebook group so people can find it as well. So that, is it on both of your pages? Is it available there as well?
Yes, it's available on the farm's Instagram. It's a link there, and I think it's also on my personal Instagram, the coaching Instagram. And if it's not, it's gonna be very soon.
Great. All right, you'll sort that out. Well, Liv, this has been such a beautiful conversation. It's so nice to see that you've gone from surviving to thriving, as you've said. And, you're really not just lifting yourself up, but you're creating a platform to lift other women up, women that have either been through what you've been through to that extreme or not. So whichever way it is, just helping and giving back is always a beautiful thing. So, I'm wishing you so much with your project. I think it's going to be really exciting. Can't wait to hear more about it. And just out of curiosity, what is the nearest airport? Just in case I happen to, just rock up one day.
Number one. Yes, I am expecting you to be here among the very first ones. Let's just put that out there.
Okay, all right.
And you can come and just you can have host some of your podcast episodes from here.
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay.
As long as we get a good signal.
We will. They're doing everything that they need to do right now. So there's that. And there's 2 airports from London. There's a flight that takes you directly into Tours, Val de Loire, which is 45 minutes from here. And basically, you just have time to take off, count 10 minutes, and then they're starting to come down already. And it's in a straight line.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get the details from you as well. Is there anything that you'd like to impart with the viewers? Anything during these, challenging times? Is there anything that you like to say that might offer a helping hand? Or, the hand on the heart was a great one, but is there anything else that you'd like to?
Listen, I'm always happy to pay it forward. That's also how I function. So if some of my clients are willing to pay a higher price, then it allows me to basically help other people who cannot afford the full price. So that's one thing that I do. I also work with microloans with Kiva for women entrepreneurs in in places where they don't have access to credit, which is, Pacific Island. So why not? And so what I would say is paying it forward is also that anyone is welcome to just come and book the conversation with me. No strings attached. You don't have to buy anything, no coaching, nothing. If you want to come and talk to me, especially we're going through very weird times, then just feel free to come and talk to me. It's on my website. Just click on the free session, and then I'll be here.
You're booked. Fabulous. Liv, thank you so much for taking your time out to share, your wonderful passion and your dream and what you're doing for other women. It's always wonderful when other women prop other women up. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you in the Loire Valley.
So much love. Thank you.
You're welcome. Au revoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. So guys, it was so lovely to chat with Liv. Oh my goodness, she's such a sweetheart. It's an amazing project. As I said, I will put everything in the chat so that you guys can see it and have access to it and see if we can, help her out. So that's it for tonight. I'm so sorry, but all I can say is, as always, be connected, be joyful, and shine your light. Good night.